As of late 2024, Cyprus is home to roughly 264,000 foreigners, who make up about 22% of the total population. The motivations behind this diverse inflow are numerous. A large portion of newcomers are driven by economic opportunity, drawn specifically by one of Europe's most attractive tax regimes, or looking for a cost-effective path to an EU passport. Others, however, are simply captivated by the island's intrinsic appeal. They come for the stunning scenery, the relaxed lifestyle, and the rich, blended historical culture of East and West. Finally, a crucial subset of residents is present for safety and humanitarian reasons. Notably, refugees seeking shelter from conflicts in neighboring countries like Lebanon and Syria. So, how could one legally move to Cyprus? While not yet fully integrated into the Schengen zone, Cyprus is part of the European Union and adheres to many of its travel provisions. For short stays, it offers visa-free entry to citizens from 92 countries and regions, making it an incredibly accessible travel destination. Those who are not visa-exempt will need to apply for a Schengen visa or an equivalent national visa, which allows a visit of up to 90 days within any 180-day period. For foreigners seeking to reside for a longer term, a national residence permit is required. Cyprus provides over 15 different residence permit options, offering a category designed to suit nearly every professional or personal background. For example, if you are from the EU, EEA, or Switzerland, the path to residency is streamlined through the yellow slip, formerly designated as MEU1, MEU2, or MEU3. Once applicants secure a legal residence and demonstrate a specific level of income, this status grants the unrestricted freedom to live and work anywhere in Cyprus. In sharp contrast, non-EU, non-EEA, and non-Swiss citizens can apply for the pink slip, a temporary residence permit for visitors which has a shorter validity and generally higher financial requirements than the yellow slip. The pink slip is issued for 1 year and is renewable annually, offering a path to permanent residency or citizenship after the requisite period of continuous residence. The cardinal condition for this permit is demonstrating a stable income derived entirely from outside Cyprus, as the holder is not permitted to seek employment with a Cypriot company. This qualifying income may include passive sources, like pensions, annuities, or rent, earnings from remote work for an overseas company, or income generated as a freelancer. Notably, rental income from properties owned and leased within Cyprus can also be counted. While the minimum theoretical annual income for a single applicant is €24,000, the precise financial requirement is adjusted based on the applicant's unique financial background and the total number of dependents. If you are a remote worker with a minimum after-tax monthly income of €3,500, you could also consider applying for the Cyprus Digital Nomad visa. This program is highly attractive due to Cyprus's favorable work environment and robust tax incentive policies for remote professionals, making it one of the most compelling options in Europe. However, the DNV has two main constraints compared to the pink slip. First, duration limit. It is valid for 1 year and can be renewed a maximum of 2 times, allowing a total stay of up to 3 years. After this 3-year maximum, you must secure an alternative residence permit if you wish to remain in the country. Second, quota restriction. The DNV is subject to a quota, which is highly sought after and often depleted. As recently as March 2025, the Cypriot government increased the total quota from 500 to 1,000 permits. If your goal is to work and settle in Cyprus, there are 2 primary routes. Secure an employment contract with a Cypriot company, who will then apply for a sponsored work visa on your behalf, or obtain an EU blue card from another European country first. This permit facilitates highly skilled employment and allows holders to seek professional opportunities in Cyprus under EU mobility rules. LinkedIn is, of course, a global platform for finding jobs, but there are also several specialized Cypriot and European job websites that can be highly effective in your search. I have put these websites in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Entrepreneurs aiming to establish their own innovative venture may consider the Cyprus Startup Visa. While accessible in terms of minimum initial capital, ranging from €10,000 to €20,000 for team applications, this program enforces highly stringent criteria regarding the applicants and team's professional qualifications, the company's projected financial viability, and the overall credibility of the business plan. For high net worth investors seeking Cypriot or EU permanent residency, the Golden Visa is an excellent choice. As one of Europe's most renowned investment programs, it offers non-EU citizens an accelerated path to permanent residency in Cyprus through a qualifying investment of €300,000. Beyond the Golden Visa and the MEU1, foreign personnel of international business companies may qualify for two other specialized permanent residency categories. Cyprus Category C permit is available to owners of foreign-owned companies who invest at least €260,000 in the company's capital and can demonstrate that the commercial activities provide a benefit to the Cypriot economy. Cyprus Category E permit is applicable to foreign employees of a Cypriot international business company who are offered a permanent employment contract, provided that the employment does not create undue competitive pressure in the local labor market. Holders of the Golden Visa can maintain their Cyprus permanent residency indefinitely, provided they maintain the qualifying investment. Similarly, Cyprus Category C and E residency permits are also indefinite, remaining valid as long as the holder is employed by or retains ownership of the company. More commonly, non-EU citizens can apply for permanent residency based on continuous residence. You must have legally resided in Cyprus on a temporary residence permit for a minimum of 5 years. Following this, you must satisfy requirements related to income, savings, or accommodation to qualify for permanent residency through the residency duration path. What about citizenship? Compared to countries like Malta, Portugal, or Spain, the path to obtaining Cypriot citizenship through naturalization is generally more rigorous. Applicants must satisfy several demanding requirements across residency, language, finance, and integration. You must have legally resided in Cyprus for a total of at least 8 years. This 8-year period comprises a legal and continuous residence for 12 months immediately before the date of application submission, with allowed absence of up to 90 days, plus a lawful stay of 7 years in the Republic, accumulated within the 10 years preceding that 12-month period. Foreign nationals applying for naturalization must demonstrate a Greek language proficiency of at least B1 level. Throughout your time in Cyprus, you must demonstrate good character and possess no significant criminal record. You must provide evidence via housing, income, assets, of stable financial resources and an intention to reside in the country while continuing to meet the original application conditions of your current visa. You are required to pass a test organized by the Cyprus Ministry of Education, proving your understanding of the country's social and political landscape. While these requirements are demanding, the resulting Cypriot passport is exceptionally valuable. It grants holders visa-free travel to 177 countries and regions worldwide, alongside the right to free movement, residence, and employment across all other EU member states. In the subsequent part of this video, I will provide a more detailed introduction to the 4 most popular residency permit options in Cyprus, covering their eligibility criteria, application process, dependent requirements, and visa validity. If you are seriously considering moving to Cyprus, I have also recommended several books in the description below that introduce the country's history, culture, and tourist attractions. You might find them interesting. The Cyprus Short-Term Residence Permit, commonly known by its colloquial name, the Pink Slip, is officially categorized into 3 main types: the Dependent Family Member Pink Slip, the Student Pink Slip, and the Visitor Pink Slip. What we usually refer to is the Temporary Residence Permit for visitors. At its core, this permit functions as a residency by income program. It allows non-EU nationals and their immediate families, spouse, and children under 18 to legally reside in Cyprus for an initial period of 1 year. The key requirements are demonstrating sufficient financial resources and providing a commitment not to engage in any salaried employment while in the country. After the initial year, the permit holder can renew the visa annually, provided the original conditions are still met. This cycle can be repeated until the individual either chooses to leave Cyprus or successfully applies for permanent residency or citizenship. Just remember, if you have a pink slip, you have to keep living in Cyprus. Your temporary residence status gets automatically canceled if you leave the country for a single trip that lasts longer than 3 consecutive months. What do you actually need to have ready to submit a successful application? It comes down to 5 main pillars, mostly focused on proving financial independence and commitment to the country. First and most critical is income. The Pink Slip is a residency by income program, so the government needs to know you can support yourself without entering the local job market. The official statutory minimum is €24,000 per year for a single applicant. If you're bringing family, those figures go up. You need an additional €4,800 for your spouse and an extra €3,600 for every minor child you bring along. In practice, we always recommend aiming a little higher, closer to the 25,000 euros to 30,000 euros mark for a single applicant, just to provide more comfort during the review process, as every application background is different. The great news is that Cyprus is very flexible about where this money comes from. We're talking rental income, interest from bank assets, remote work earnings, or even investment proceeds from property or stocks you might buy in Cyprus. The golden rule here is simple. No salaried employment in Cyprus. The second pillar is straightforward: accommodation. You must prove you have a stable place to live. That means owning property, or, more commonly, renting. If you rent, you need a signed lease agreement for a minimum of 1 year. Unfortunately, staying in a hotel won't cut it. They need proof of your long-term intention to settle. Third, you need a corresponding bank deposit, known as your proof of funds. This is a sum of money deposited into a Cypriot bank account equivalent to your 1-year income requirement. So, that's the base 24,000 euros for a single person and the required top-ups for any dependents. This shows you have immediate liquid funds available to you. Next up is the bank guarantee. This is a separate requirement involving immobilized funds money that is placed in a guaranteed account and cannot be easily withdrawn. It's essentially a security bond. The fee for this guarantee varies quite a bit depending on your country of origin. For example, applicants from Eastern Europe or Russia pay 550 euros per person, while those from Asia or the Americas pay 850 euros per person. However, if you come from certain countries like the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, or the UAE, you are completely exempt from this requirement. Finally, you must secure valid comprehensive health insurance for Cyprus. You generally need a policy with around 30,000 euros in annual coverage. The cost for this is usually very reasonable, with median annual premiums often falling between 175 euros and 200 euros per person. The process for applying for the Cyprus Pink Slip is methodical, and it all starts the moment you land on the island. You must enter either visa-free or on a relevant short-stay visa. You cannot apply for the Pink Slip from outside the country. You have to be here to start the process. Once you're on the ground, your focus shifts to establishing your financial and residential roots. This means 3 critical tasks must be completed before you even approach the authorities. Securing accommodation. You must have a long-term home, whether you buy or rent. If you rent, that contract needs to be for a minimum of 1 year. Making your deposits. This is when you make those required bank deposits, the proof of funds, and the bank guarantee into your Cypriot account. Health insurance. You should purchase your local, valid health insurance policy. With your foundation set, you move into the paperwork phase. You'll gather all your essential files. This includes standard documents like your passport and identity papers, but also your critical financial proof, stable income statements, and your clear, recent criminal record certificate. Once your complete file is ready to go, the actual submission happens in person at the immigration unit of the Department of Civil Registry and Migration in one of the major cities. The crucial takeaway here is organization. You must book this submission appointment 2 to 3 weeks in advance. You can't just walk in, so plan ahead. After you hand over your documents, the process is handled entirely by the Department of Civil Registry and Migration. What should you expect next? The official theoretical processing time is up to 6 months. Crucially, and this is excellent news, during the entire 6-month review period, you and your family are legally permitted to remain in Cyprus. You are not required to leave the country while you await the final outcome, whether that is the issuance of your new pink slip or, in a rare case, a rejection. The Cyprus Permanent Residency Program, widely known as the Golden Visa, is among Europe's most distinguished residency by investment schemes. It grants foreign investors permanent residency status in Cyprus via a minimum investment of 300,000 euros. Currently, if you're looking to get the Cyprus Golden Visa, you have 4 main economic sectors you can choose to invest in. The first option, and it's definitely the most popular, is new residential property. The requirement for this is straightforward. You need to buy 1 or maybe 2 brand new homes. Their total market value, after value-added tax, must be at least 300,000 euros. The most crucial thing to remember here is this. Only newly built properties count for this category. You simply cannot use second-hand properties. Option 2 is commercial real estate, which offers a little more flexibility. This path requires the purchase of new or used non-residential properties. Think offices, shops, hotels, or other types of development, with a total market value of at least €300,000 plus VAT. As you can see, if you apply for the Cyprus Golden Visa via the property option, you must factor in costs like stamp duty, transfer fees, legal fees, and the big one, VAT. The standard VAT is 19%, but first-time buyers of a new primary residence may qualify for a significant reduction to just 5%. Property values in Cyprus have been on a steady upward trajectory over the past 2 years, bolstered by support from the EU and a consistent influx of foreign investment. In 2024, Cyprus recorded an overall property price growth rate of 3.4%, the highest in Europe. This trend continued into the first quarter of 2025, with the average price of apartments increasing by 3.88% and villas rising by 2%. Option 3 is for the business-minded. Invest a Cypriot company. This involves either acquiring shares in an existing Cypriot company or establishing and actively operating a new company right here in Cyprus. Again, the minimum investment is €300,000, but this route comes with a critical social commitment. Your investment must mandate the creation of at least 5 new employment positions for Cypriot citizens. This is the government's way of ensuring these investments benefit local economy directly. Finally, we have option 4. Invest in collective investment funds. This is for those who prefer capital allocation in structured financial vehicles. You would be allocating your capital to specific alternative investment funds, AIFs. These are collective investment undertakings that pool capital from investors to invest in accordance with a specific policy. When choosing this route, 2 non-negotiable points are key for compliance. First, the fund must be legally registered and actively managed right here in Cyprus. Second, and equally essential, the fund must be regulated by the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, let's move on to the second critical pillar: income and general eligibility. The Cypriot government needs assurance of your financial stability. You must demonstrate a stable minimum level of annual income entirely sourced from outside Cyprus. For a single applicant, the minimum floor is €50,000 per year. If you apply with your spouse, your combined income must reach €65,000. And for every additional dependent you include, you must increase that main applicant income by an additional €10,000 per person. Simple, yet non-negotiable. This income, which can come from various legal sources like salaries, dividends, rents, or pensions, must satisfy 2 crucial checks. First, as I mentioned, it must be foreign-sourced. Your income must originate entirely from outside Cyprus. Second, tax proof. You must provide official tax documentation from the source country, proving the legality of every cent. This isn't optional. It's the backbone of your application's credibility. Here's another key point. You cannot engage in any form of paid employment. For example, it's perfectly fine. In fact, it's encouraged for you to operate a company in Cyprus and receive dividends as a shareholder. That's encouraged. However, receiving a salary as a company executive in Cyprus would be considered a violation of the visa's requirements. Finally, the fundamental requirements that apply to all participants. 1. A clean criminal record. 2. Good health, evidenced by medical certification. And 3. A commitment that you will not displace local employment opportunities outside of your own business operations. Dependent eligibility has also seen some changes. While in the past, parents of both the main applicant and spouse could be included, the rules are now stricter. A single application is limited to the main applicant, the spouse, and your children under 18. You can also include unmarried children between 18 and 24, provided they are financially dependent and currently enrolled in full-time education. Navigating the process for the Cyprus Golden Visa generally requires the expert support of an immigration lawyer. They will meticulously guide you through document preparation, establishing a bank presence in Cyprus, transferring investment capital, finalizing your chosen investment, submitting the application, and ultimately, obtaining your permanent residence card. The initial and crucial application step is to demonstrate to the Cypriot government both your financial capacity and commitment to the investment. This phase involves establishing a local bank relationship by opening an account with a Cypriot banking institution, transferring the necessary funds, an amount guaranteed to exceed the minimum €300,000 investment requirement into the country, completing the qualifying investment, either fully or substantially. While immediate, full completion is not always mandatory. You must commit the majority of the capital. In practice, this commitment usually stands at approximately 66%. For real estate applicants, for instance, This means demonstrating payment of at least 200,000 euros of the total property purchase price at this stage. Once the majority of your investment is complete, it is time to submit formal visa application to the Civil Registry and Migration Department of the Ministry of Interior. The most critical task at this stage is the preparation of all required application documents. These documents typically include identity and relationship documents, documents proving your identity and the relationship between you and your dependents. For example, passports, marriage certificate, birth certificate, income and tax documentation. Proof that your income meets the minimum requirements, is entirely sourced from outside Cyprus, and has been legally taxed in the source country. Investment proof. Documents proving that the investment funds have been transferred to Cyprus and confirming the ongoing investment. Criminal record certificates. Proof of good moral character for you and your family members. Health insurance. Proof of purchase of local health insurance coverage. Application forms and declarations. A series of forms and written commitments. For example, you and your family must sign a commitment not to engage in salaried employment in Cyprus. Does this sound complicated? Don't worry. A qualified immigration lawyer will assist you with all the necessary documentation preparation. Once your application is submitted, you enter the waiting period for the Cypriot government's decision. While the official processing target for the Golden Visa has historically been around 2 months, applicants in 2025 should anticipate a more realistic review timeline of approximately 6 months. Upon successful approval, the government issues an official confirmation letter. You and your family then have a 1-year window to travel to Cyprus to register your biometric data with the Ministry of Interior and collect your permanent residence card. Typically, the Cypriot authorities will have your physical permanent residence card prepared for collection within 30 days of capturing your biometric. And remember, acquiring the Golden Visa is not the end of the story. To ensure your Cypriot permanent residency status remains valid, you must comply with the following continuing obligations. Physical presence. You must visit and land in Cyprus at least once every 2 years. Annual reporting. You must submit an annual report to confirm that you are maintaining the investment and that you have purchased and maintained local health insurance coverage for all main and dependent applicants. Triennial reporting. Every 3 years, you must submit updated clean criminal record certificates for all main and dependent applicants. Global status. Legally, you must not hold permanent residency status in any other country apart from your country of citizenship and Cyprus. Your permanent residence card itself must be renewed every 10 years, but the status remains valid as long as you maintain the investment and adhere to the requirements above. During the pandemic, the Cypriot government introduced a brand new digital nomad visa program, allowing remote workers and digital nomads with a monthly after-tax income of no less than 3,500 euros to reside in the country for 1 to 3 years. As soon as it was launched, this program became one of the most popular digital nomad visa programs in Europe. In 2021, the Cypriot government set a quota limit of 100 people for digital nomads and their families. The following year, they expanded the quota limit to 500. And by March 2025, it is said that the government further relaxed the quota limit to 1,000, yet demand still outstrips supply. This is mainly due to Cyprus's beautiful Mediterranean scenery, excellent remote working environment, and, most importantly, tax benefits. Cyprus has the lowest corporate income tax and personal income tax in all of Europe. Moreover, if a digital nomad becomes a tax resident of Cyprus, they can be exempt from tax on financial asset income, like dividends, gains from securities transactions, and if their annual income exceeds 55,000 euros, they enjoy a 50% reduction on all payable tax. So, how do you get your hand on the Cyprus Digital Nomad Visa? You must first be physically in Cyprus and book an appointment through the government website to submit your visa application at the Cypriot Civil Registry and Migration Department in Nicosia. The website address is listed in the description below. You need to ensure that you have all the necessary documents ready when applying for the Digital Nomad Visa, such as personal information documents, including your CV and passports, passport copies, passport-sized photos, marriage certificate, and birth certificates for you and your family, a completed application form with personal information, a cover letter explaining your reasons for applying for the Digital Nomad Visa and the workflow for working in Cyprus, and a commitment letter not to be employed locally. Proof of work documents to demonstrate you are a digital nomad. If you are self-employed or a freelancer, you need to provide service or contract proof for your current projects, and prove that you can conduct your work while in Cyprus and that the work is not related to the country. If you are employed by a company, you need to provide an employment contract, a confirmation letter from the company stating you can work remotely, a copy of the company's registration information, and other relevant documents. You also need to provide main bank statements for the last 6 months to prove the standard monthly income of €3,500. If you have a spouse accompanying you, please ensure your after-tax monthly income reaches €4,200. For every minor child you include in the application, you need to add another 15%, which is currently €630 per child. You must provide a clear criminal record certificate issued within 6 months before submitting the application for you and your family. You need to complete a medical examination in Cyprus, which includes blood tests and X-rays for all main and dependent applicants aged 6 and over. You and your family must purchase health insurance covering the visa duration with a minimum coverage of €30,000. You need to have stable accommodation in Cyprus, which can be a purchase contract, rental agreement, or hotel booking record. Generally, the processing time for the Cyprus Digital Nomad visa is 5 to 7 weeks, and the total visa fee is €70 or €140, which varies depending on your nationality. When your 1-year Digital Nomad visa expires if you still wish to remain in Cyprus, you will need to go through the entire application process again. Even for a renewal, you must compete for the government's quota, meaning if the quota is full, you will be unable to renew the Cyprus Digital Nomad visa. We've established that Cyprus's tax regime is a major draw for digital nomads, but this raises a crucial question. Does simply holding the DNV automatically obligate you to pay taxes in Cyprus? The answer is no. Your tax status depends entirely on your physical presence in the country. Cyprus offers 2 primary pathways to establishing tax residency. The most traditional and straightforward path is based on the duration of your stay. You will automatically become a Cypriot tax resident if you spend a total of more than 183 days, that's roughly 6 months within the country, during any single calendar year. For highly mobile foreigners, Cyprus provides a unique and flexible alternative. You can qualify as a tax resident by spending just 60 days in Cyprus, provided you meet all of the following requirements concurrently within the tax year. You must reside in Cyprus for at least 60 days. You must not reside in any single other country for more than 183 days. You must not be considered a tax resident in any other country during that year. You must maintain a demonstrable connection to Cyprus. This typically involves having a permanent home in Cyprus, owned or rented, and carrying out a business, being employed, or holding an office, such as a director, within a Cyprus tax resident company. This flexibility allows many highly mobile professionals to optimize their tax planning while enjoying the lifestyle of a digital nomad. The Cyprus Startup Visa is a residency permit offered by the government of Cyprus to non-EU entrepreneurs with innovative business plans in emerging sectors, aiming to enhance the country's commercial potential. The core concept is straightforward. Individuals or startup teams with a compelling business model can apply for this visa to establish and operate their new venture in Cyprus. The required seed capital is relatively modest. While general investment typically ranges from €20,000 to €50,000, applications submitted by a team of 2 or fewer require a theoretical minimum investment of only €10,000. Despite the simple concept, this is a very difficult visa to obtain in practice. You must demonstrate that your newly established company is genuinely innovative and presents a credible, high-potential business plan. The application is scored by the Deputy Ministry of Research, Innovation, and Digital Policy across 5 key dimensions: significant international market with upward trends, high-growth business with an innovative and expandable business model, a clear and sustainable competitive advantage, management team, intellectual property protection. Each dimension is worth a maximum of 3 points. To be approved, your application must achieve a minimum total score of 11 out of 15 points, and there must be an available slot in the program's quota at the time of approval. You heard correctly. Similar to the Digital Nomad visa, the Cyprus Startup Visa has a limited number of slots. The total quota set by the Cypriot government for the current cycle, 2024 to 2026, is 150. You can apply as an individual entrepreneur or as a startup team of up to 5 people. As an individual entrepreneur, you must constitute the technical or managerial core of the new company. As a startup team of up to 5 people, the team must collectively own no less than 25% of the company's shares. Also, team applications may require higher minimum investment thresholds. The startup visa relaxes the usual constraints on hiring foreign talent. It allows your company to employ foreign workers and apply for their labor visas, provided that the ratio of Cypriot employees to foreign employees within the company is at least 5:5. If your investment in the startup reaches or exceeds 150,000 euros, the company may be allowed to increase the number of foreign employees at the government's discretion. In 2025, the Cypriot government increased the initial validity period of the startup visa to 3 years. Upon expiration, you can apply for a 2-year extension if the company's operational status meets at least one of the following 5 conditions. The company generates a profit of at least 15%. The company employs at least 3 Cypriot citizens. The company has attracted at least 150,000 euros in investment. The company has successfully launched at least one product or service. The company has participated in one or more official Cypriot innovation support programs. After living in Cyprus for 5 years, you become eligible to apply for permanent residency. And after a minimum of 8 years, you can apply for Cypriot citizenship. Cyprus is the 7th video in our series on how to get residency in the EU. If you are interested in residency options in European or other parts of the world, please consider clicking the subscribe button and checking our previous videos. If you have a deeper interest in Cyprus, I have listed more information about the country in the description below, including the official websites for relevant programs, online download links for application forms, and recommended books discussing Cyprus's politics, history, culture, and popular tourist attractions, among other things. I hope this is helpful to you. Anyway, thanks for watching.